Hi everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today is one of those days that I definitely need to hold the Canon 600D because it is extremely blustery weather today. But yeah, I'm pleased that I've made it out. I've made it out to Southend-on-Sea, to the seafront here, as you can see, to one of these paddling pools that are along the seafront. But this one's slightly unique compared to some of the others, and it's got this lovely rock defence line around it. And I'm thinking today, with the really bad weather, the rain that's coming down as well, really sort of long exposure, black and white images is what I'm looking to capture today. But challenging conditions to work with, but yeah, that makes it all more worthwhile, isn't it? Luckily enough, because it is challenging conditions, I was able to park up literally opposite to where I need to be. So if it does hammer it down with rain, at least I can sort of run back there. But yeah, setting the camera up quite low down here, as you can possibly just about see. Looking out to the rocks here, and hopefully having that line of rocks in the middle of the image will work out really to be interesting images today. I definitely need to put on the ND filter as well to lengthen those exposures, to smooth out the water and the sky as well. But yeah, hopefully working out to be a really enjoyable shoot. So make sure you come along for the journey. So it's quite challenging conditions to actually take this image. I've got the camera set on about sort of 55-60mm set on the camera lens, because the trouble that I'm having is finding a clear spot of the rocks, or in between the rocks, because there's several different, if you can turn around here, several different posts and markers out there, and I'm trying to use the zoom and the reach of the lens just to kind of get right in the middle of two of them, so I don't want those distracting poles either side or anywhere in the actual image themselves. So yeah, really handy having that reach on the lens. But because of the dynamic range here, where the obviously water and the sky is very bright compared to obviously the darkness on the rocks, where they're wet as well, it makes obviously even more darker. So I'm taking an 8-second exposure at f9 ISO 100, and then taking a 20-second exposure as well, and looking to blend both of those two together in post-processing, because the 20-second image I'm able to get obviously the detail in the rocks, but it's blowing out obviously the highlights, and obviously vice versa for the 8-second exposure. But yeah, really quite challenging with the wind and blustery conditions, making sure that I'm anchoring down the Canon 600D. But really interesting. These are the type of conditions that I really wanted for this type of shot, because I wanted the greyness of the sky and the greyness of the water as well, and having the rocks in the middle works out really interesting, I think. But yeah, and getting down low is again adding to the image as well, because I'm eliminating any distraction in the background as well. Obviously, as we're looking across the Thames estuary here over to the Kent, etc., yeah, there's a lot of industrial work, so I don't really want that. So angling or having the camera as low as it is at the moment, working out really quite interesting. And that's the thing really, is don't just plonk the camera straight on the tripod, look around for the composition first and work out how it's actually going to work in your favour. But yeah, really interesting. But a little bit of work I think in post-processing. working with the conditions, what I've been able to do this time is keep the 10 stop ND filter on the front, but trying a little bit of ICM photography. So I've opened up the aperture to f5.6, dialed in about 3 to 3.2 seconds, and just counting. So I'm obviously exposing 2-second timer, and then obviously counting 1, 2, then moving the camera slightly to create that ICM image. Really interesting. Got a little bit more detail within the rocks because I'm keeping it still for a little bit and then just moving it just before the shutter closes itself. So hopefully working out really interesting. The beauty of doing ICM photography, if I tried it once before, is the fact that you're shooting digital. You can take hundreds and hundreds of images and hopefully only come away with the one that you actually need. But yeah, for this image again, I really wanted to capture it from this location. It's really interesting. I really like the light and the colour on the foreground here in the water, and obviously the light as it's breaking through in the clouds as well. So hopefully working out to be a really interesting shoot today. So as the wind and the sun is coming out, the rain's still coming down as well a little bit. But yeah, just got my last image set up here of the rocks that are leading round, curving round. Lovely composition I think this is, with one of the big boulders that's down here, if you can just see. So I've got the camera set up on approximately 18mm, f5.6, ISO 100, and I've got 2 exposures in the bag, one at 3.2 seconds and one at 2 seconds, but I'm also focus stacking this image. So because of the boulder that's really close to the lens, I'm obviously focusing on that, taking the first image, and then the second image for the focus stack, I'm focusing on the foreground with the boulders as well. So hopefully, yeah, working out really interesting image and blending them both together in post-processing as well. It's yeah, a great location to come out to today. The weather conditions are actually in my favour, even though they are challenging to work with, but really interesting to actually come out to do this shoot today. And hopefully you've enjoyed some of the images as well. Challenging conditions today, but really worth it coming out to make the effort, and real apologies for any wind noise that you're getting across on the mic. But yeah, you can't really help it with these conditions, but I think it's really worked in my favour, and that's the key thing really. It's looking at the weather conditions and then trying to work them into your favour. Yes, ideally I would love it without as much wind as there is today, but that's just the way it is. But as still, it hasn't stopped me coming out and capturing some images that I really wanted to capture, and hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you've enjoyed it and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, but please also leave us a comment as well, as I really enjoy those comments. But thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, take care.